I'm John Batchelor with my colleague and co-host and friend Mary Kissel, the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal, the host of Opinion Journal, WSJ Video each afternoon. And we're here to talk about the Republican candidates prospectively. December 15th is the next debate before Christmas. And that debate's CNN. And CNN today wisely chose to rebuke the request from the businessman from New York for some fantastic amount of money to be paid for some fantastic entity in order for the businessman from New York to appear. We're told now that he will appear, the money wasn't paid, and the shakedown didn't work. Well, that's a deal maker for you. We're going to talk about other candidates because the businessman from New York had just had his moment. That's it. On to Governor Christie, Governor Kasich, Senator Rubio, and Senator Cruz. Mary, the Republican foreign policy is not obvious. The field's very fragmented. However, these four men, I've chosen them just particularly because I think this is the moment for them to emerge as leaders if they're going to do it. Let's get it done, guys. We want articulation of a foreign policy that makes sense given the challenges we can presume are going to remain for the next at least 12 months into the campaign season. Syria and Libya. Libya is a nightmare on the Mediterranean. Syria is an active war battlefield between competing great powers. We have the national security matter of terrorism, a threat against us. We have Paris. And I want to hear somebody who can get out there and talk about what he's going to do, how he's going to protect us, and how he's going to defeat the adversaries. Governor Christie, is he the man for this?
Well, there's a clear fault line in the Republican Party. And in fact, I talked to our colleague, Main Street columnist Bill McGurn, about this earlier this week on Opinion Journal. It's up on WSJ.com. And the fault line is this. There are the isolationists and those who agree, if in so many words, with President Obama and his leading from behind strategy. And then there are the Reaganites who want a muscular foreign policy, who truly do want to defeat and destroy ISIS, who would contemplate whatever it takes to do that. Troops on the ground, no-fly zones in Syria, and the rest. And Governor Christie falls into the latter category. And his virtue, he has several virtues here. He has experience in the job that he had in New Jersey prosecuting terrorists. He has experience as governor in, again, looking after the security of a state. And he has articulated the terror threat from the very beginning of the campaign trail. This isn't something that he's just lit upon because of the Paris attacks. Marco Rubio also has talked extensively and at length about the terror threat and is extremely articulate about not just the threat from ISIS, but the threat of us allowing Putin to effectively run Syria, the threat of us giving leverage to the mullahs in Tehran for their backing for Hezbollah, the fact that they take hostages, the fact that they've already broken the nuclear accord. He's great on these subjects. So you have
Rubio is very well educated.
Wonderful. So yes. you have Rubio and Christie in that camp, the hawkish Reaganite camp. And then on the other side, the Obama-Hillary camp, you have a Rand Paul, who was an isolationist, and you have Ted Cruz, who very strangely has put himself there. He started to move in that direction when he voted against the metadata collection program of the NSA, where he sided with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama to handcuff our intelligence agencies because it was politically popular at the time. But he doubled down on that this week in an interview with Bloomberg, where he called Marco Rubio a neocon and effectively said, we did the wrong thing by going into Libya and sided with the administration. So it's a clear choice here, I think, for Republican voters. I think it's a choice that's going to become even more evident in this debate. I think Christie will probably go after Cruz. I think these distinctions will become very stark.
Governor Kasich, John Kasich, like Ohio, like everything about it, he's experienced. He's been in Congress. He's been in the state capitol. He understands budgets. Foreign policy is not a natural for a governor, especially from the Midwest. Do we expect him to have a foreign policy to articulate, or can he just take command of the subject and just assert what he will do as leader?
I think tone matters, and Governor Kasich's problem isn't necessarily his policies. It's the way he articulates them. He's a nag. And what Americans want right now is not a nag. They want a leader. I think that's part of Trump's appeal to the part of the base that's paying attention. I just don't see how Kasich rises beyond where he is right now.
The reason I'm watching now is that I don't want to make the case anymore for the Republican candidates. I want them to make it so I can quote them. I feel in analyzing the first debates, I've had to do a lot of figuring out what they were talking about because
John,
of the confusion on the field.
Look, if they don't make the case, they don't deserve to be elected.
I agree with you. So I want somebody to say, this is what I'm going to do about Syria. This is what I'm going to do about Libya. This is what I'm going to do about national security in the United States. This is what I think about radical Islam. Here's what I have learned from the Paris attacks. I want them to say this. I don't want to have to extract it with clever questions from the moderators.
I think Christine and Rubio and Fiorina, let's give her due, have been saying that. They've just been drowned out by the media coverage of Donald Trump. I think, though, in the wake of these San Bernardino shootings and murders, that the American people may look for something different. They don't want to be entertained. They're afraid. Look at the volume of gun sales that we've seen in the last couple of days. I think people are concerned. They're worried. They should be. And they might look for something else now, someone more serious with a coherent foreign policy. At least let's hope so.
December 15th is the next Republican debate. Mary and I will talk about it immediately that evening. We'll certainly anticipate it next week. That's the big showdown. Mary Kissel, the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal, the host of Opinion Journal at WSJ Video. It's up right now to review her conversations. I'm John Batchelor. Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, John.
This is The John Batchelor Show.